The next name of Allah we're going to study is what? Al-Kuddus. Al-Kuddus has 2 layers of study. The 2 layers of study are, what does the word mean in Arabic and how was it used in the Arabic language, and then how is it used in the Quran? So Arabic and the Quran, that's one layer of study. But the other layer of study is actually, this word is very important in biblical studies. So in the study of the Bible, in the Hebrew Bible, this word is really, really important. And we're going to have to look at why it was important to them also. Why is it important to study that or know that? Because the Quran is actually speaking to multiple audiences. And one of its audiences is actually Jewish scholarship. But you may not know that, now you know. One of the direct audiences of the Quran is who? Not just the regular Jews even. Jewish scholarship. It was actually communicating with them directly. And a lot of the language in the Quran, we understand it from the Muslim perspective, but when they heard it from a background they already had. You understand? So if we understand the background that they had and then hear what the Quran is saying, it gives us deeper perspective on what's being said. But since we talked about politics today, I will leave you with the following concept. In kingdoms in the world, there's always been this idea that when a king takes power, that he must have done something wrong to make that happen. He must have killed somebody. He must have bribed. There's some corruption behind the scenes, because you don't move up unless you get your hands dirty. You have to have some blood on your hands to get there, right? Either you came and you assassinated the current king and you took power, that way you seized power, or you tried to climb up the ranks by way of treachery and lying and cheating and scheming, basically politics, right? And that's how you made it all the way to becoming kings, scheming until you get to the top. So when you think of people with power, you think of corruption. It's been the history of the world, right? So power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? That's always been the history of the world. So what? And kings know that, rulers know that. So what they do then is they say, well, we can't keep our power if everybody thinks we're corrupt, because eventually people will rebel. They're not going to stay under our government. We have to find a way of making ourselves look good, no matter how dirty we are. So kings, since ancient times, came up with a formula. We are going to use religion to make ourselves look good. So in ancient Egypt, they're going to have the priests and the monks and the sages. They're going to say the gods have told us this is the king. And since the people follow the religion, now it's their religious obligation to acknowledge the king. The Roman Empire, once it adopts Christianity, the Catholic Church is going to endorse the king. The Pope has an awkward conversation at the inaugural ceremony that you may have seen in the United Kingdom recently. Who's becoming loyal to who? It's a little confusing. But the idea is, this is a kingdom that is endorsed by God himself through the church or through the priesthood or through the temple, right? This happened in ancient Indian, kingdoms, Buddhist kingdoms, right? The Chinese emperors, they'll have some sages or somebody that acknowledges them, endorses them, because they get the religious people that follow the religious leadership. When the religious leadership endorses the king, then it becomes the religious thing to do to follow the king. And then in many of these kingdoms, they have prayers for the ruler. They'll pray for the ruler. God save the queen, God save the king, right? They'll have those kinds of things. So what happens is, there's the world of politics and there's the world of religion. And the religious people, they're considered holy. I'll say that again. They're considered what? Holy. And the word for holy people is muqaddas. The word is what? Al-Muqaddas. So kingdoms stay stable because they use the Muqaddas class to declare themselves pure. Because they themselves are corrupt, they need the Muqaddas class to become legitimate. You understand? And these Muqaddas class, these sacred people, these holy people, these saints, these people, they're actually also behind the scenes. What did they say? Hey, we're going to endorse you, but we're going to need a sizable donation, fi sabili, fi sabili us. You understand? Behind the scenes, it's a backdoor deal. So actually, it's not just one is corrupt. The truth is what? Both of them are corrupt. What is this surah going to do? It's actually going to highlight the corruption on the Muqaddas side. It's going to do that too. But what is Allah telling us by these two names together? Al-Malik, Al-Kuddus. Allah is the ultimate king. Human beings, when they think of a king, they think of someone who is dirty, corrupt. And then they need to be cleansed by some other religious entity. And Allah says, no. Allah is ultimate king and Allah is ultimately pure, all in one. And what did that teach the Muslims in their understanding of the world? It taught them that in this religion, it's not that is a different world and this is a different world. This is these people, these Muqaddas people, these holy people. They stay inside the monastery. They worship and pray. They think about God and the angels and heaven and hell, but they don't know what's happening in the real world. They don't know matters of government. They just know matters of God. Right? That's the Muqaddas class. And then the kings know the matters of politics and what's really happening in the world. Right? So these are the pure people, and these are the people of the semawat, and these are the people of al-ardıl. You see? Yusebbihu lillahi ma fi semavati wa fi al-ardi al-Malik al-Kuddus. It's incredible. Like how everything is tying together now, and Allah is teaching us actually in this religion to become holier, to become pure. It doesn't mean you don't know what's happening in the real world. And just because you're engaged in politics and the real world doesn't mean you have to become dirty. Both of those things coexist because our God is both Al-Malik and Al-Kuddus, all in one. You know this idea, leave to God what is to God, leave to Caesar what is to Caesar? Nuh-uh. Allah is Al-Malik and Al-Kuddus, you see? So it's these few words, they're so profound in the social philosophy, the political philosophy, the outlook that it creates, and it makes sophisticated believers. Now these people are revolutionary. Every religion before this basically used religion as a tool to advance power, the holy right, the divine right of kings. And the Quran comes along and says, no, purity only belongs to Allah, and absolute rule only belongs to Allah. Everyone besides him is going to be imperfect. Everyone is going to be imperfect. SubhanAllah. Al-Malik al-Kuddus.